You know, some years Philadelphia is beastly hot. And you wonder, where can I go to get away from this? Well, of course, there's the Jersey Shore, the mountains, or you can travel to the other side of the pond. But within just a few hours is a destination that gives you the comfort of cool weather and many different charming sights. Each island, I'm talking about the islands off the coast of New England. You know, those 6 states up in the northeast corner of the country. And there's Nantucket and Cuttyhunk and Martha's Vineyard and Block Island and Newport where all the races are. Each one of them has a different character. Each one of them is charming. Good places to eat, lovely scenery. Oh, did I say Cuttyhunk? Well, that's one that you may not know about, and I don't really recommend it as a final destination. But it is an interesting place. I think it was occupied for about not even 3 weeks after the people came there, and then they defected, left. I would too. In any event, I want to take you on a cruise on the American Caribbean, isn't that silly? American Caribbean Canadian cruise line that takes trips through that part of the world, and it's a charming destination. Come along with us. We're just about to start out on a cruise of the islands. That is, not the islands where you hear Harry Belafonte kind of music. You're much more likely to hear sea shanties. We're going to the New England Islands, starting from Warren, Rhode Island, and we're going to places that very famous, Cuttyhunk, which is a tiny little place, and then we're going to Newport. We will go to Newport, but we're going first to Nantucket, and then to Martha's Vineyard, ending up in Block Island, which is also part of Rhode Island. All these little tiny islands that are off Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And we'll have a lovely time. It's beautiful, it's picturesque, and I hope you'll enjoy it as much as we will. We're on the Grand Caribe, which is a strange name for the islands, for the trip we're about to take, but it also does trips in the Caribbean, and we've been on them, and they're lovely too. And this is the night of the welcome aboard cocktail party. So you can see people, it hasn't affected their appetites evidently. They're chowing down. We have some people from Rhode Island here, which makes sense since we left from Barrington. Have some people from Wilmington, and everyone's having some good smoked salmon and some chicken wings and all kinds of other goodies. Where are you all from?
I'm from Juno Beach.
Juno Beach. And you all?
Florida.
Good gravy. You came a long way. And you?
I came from Florida.
All right. So we have people from assorted places, and where we're going, as I told you, is to a number of the New England islands. No calypso here. More likely to hear sea shanties. And we're headed for Cuttyhunk now. Have you ever been in Cuttyhunk? Anybody here ever been in Cuttyhunk? You have. What's there?
We went there in a sailboat with some friends one day.
And what did you think of Cuttyhunk?
Wonderful harbor, but not much to see.
Oh, well, we'll see the not much then.
You go for a nice walk on Cuttyhunk. You go up a hill and you see all out over the ocean. It's beautiful.
I see enough water here. I see enough water without walking up a long hill, but it'll be kind of fun.
A picture of the
finally made it to Nantucket. I didn't think we were ever going to get here. The boat decided to park way out in, I don't know, halfway to Martha's Vineyard, I think. But anyway, we finally got a launch and made it in, and here we are on the dock in Nantucket. And if we can walk over here for just a minute, we've got a native Philadelphian who has a house here. And we'll do a little video when we get to his house. But in the meantime, we're going to say hello, not to you, sir. I don't know you. Who comes from, guess where? From Chestnut Hill, all the way in Philadelphia. And he lives out here part of the time. In the summer, anyway. Is he lucky? Say hello to the folks in Philadelphia.
Hello, folks in Philadelphia. How are you? Glad you could be here, Barbara. Bob.
Thank you.
Okay.
Fun to be here. Here we are at Surfside Beach, a very popular spot, as you can plainly tell, on Nantucket. All the folks lined up to get their, I don't know, fried clams maybe, lobster rolls, whatever. But you can tell that it's a popular spot. This is where all the folks come as soon as they get hungry. And this is Gayhead or Aquina, one of the ends of Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard, so-called nothing to do with Martha Stewart, but one of the kids of the original settlers was named Martha. And they kept dying, and so it's one of the kids. We can't be sure exactly which one it is. But it's a beautiful island full of early lore, and there's, you can see we're right here at a beach, and beyond that the Atlantic Ocean. It's one of the Elizabeth Islands stuck out here, and all kinds of famous people, including Bill Clinton and the Belushi brothers, have either owned or rented or stayed with friends. It's a charming place, lots and lots of trees to see. We're traveling on a bus so that we aren't stopping in all the places, but we're having a good time. And this lighthouse is one of the few we're stopping to take a look at. It's made from bricks made from the local clay, which is now protected, so you can't go rooting around and make your own bricks to take home as if you'd want to. But it is pretty, and it's a picturesque lighthouse. Among the facilities for tourists, you see that little gray house down there? It costs 50 cents a person to use that facility. It's not one where you get something to eat, it's where you use the facility. I don't know what to say. And other kind of tourist facilities are stuffed quahogs, and they're not quahogs, by the way, as people tend to call them. They're quahogs. It's an Indian name, and they're great big clams. And of course the ubiquitous lobster rolls, as they call them here. Not lobsters. In this part of the world, somehow they forget about the R's. It's a lobster roll. And I think I'll go have one. And there is our home away from home, the Grande Caribe, and we're anchored here at the foot of the wharf, pulled up in Vineyard Haven on the Martha's Vineyard. And it's a very typical and beautiful island, and this is a secure harbor, which is why, even though the weather looked like it was going to be not so good last night, we pulled in here. And the up top side, as they say in nautical parlance, are people waiting for their hot dogs and hamburgers, not lobster rolls. I just had one of those over at Gay Head. This is too bad to leave the island without at least one lobster roll. And but they're having a good time with their hot dogs and hamburgers and having them on board. And then, of course, you can't come to New England without thinking antiques. And there, in that yellow building, there's antiques, unique, something and familiar. Cute name for a place where you can go and relieve yourself of some of your money. And next door is an Oriental antiques place. I'll walk over there by myself after a while and see what they can, see if I can relieve myself of any of my heavy stash of money. And just to get some of the real island flavor of Vineyard Haven. We're not sure quite whether that's a fishing boat or a little tug, but whatever it is, it lends a lot of atmosphere to it. And then there's a lot of sailboats here in the harbor. A very well protected harbor. As I said, that's why we came over here last night instead of staying in Nantucket. They were afraid that it was going to be a rough ride. As it turned out, I don't think it was, but we have a gorgeous day here today, and as long as the weather holds, we'll continue to have a wonderful time on this trip of the New England Islands. When we leave here, we'll go over to Block Island, which is actually the longest ride we'll have in the water, and that's off Rhode Island. We're off Massachusetts now. Not that there's very big, I mean, it's not like Texas and New Mexico and all those great big states. These are little tiny, relatively speaking, states, part of New England. Well, oh, listen to that horn. The ferry is leaving for the mainland. We're in Vineyard Haven, and it is a haven for all kinds of boats. A very protected harbor, and this is the main harbor for Martha's Vineyard. See what kind of ships sail in here. Mostly sailboats, a very few stink potters. But it's a beautiful harbor, and it's just lovely sitting here on the water and enjoying it. And that's an unusual rigging. Look at the square. I'd love to see that under sail. A square rigger all flying. I don't know whether it's a barkentine, a brigantine. Could be any one of those things, I suppose. But it's so pretty without sail. I'm sure when the sails are up, it's a knockout. Well, this is Block Island, a Rhode Island island that's been settled probably just about the same time as all the others, but it hit its heyday in well, not like Newport with the grand, glorious mansions, but people came over here from Point Judith, Rhode Island, Point Jude as it's known, on day trips. And then a few people decided to stay, and a few small hotels were built. And it's been a popular weekend and overnight place for years and years. Saturday night, the island really howls. People come over from the mainland, and until the bars close at 1 o'clock, it's lively, shall we say. It's the schedule. It goes really very often, and it's a very comfortable ferry. Docks at the same dock as we're pulled up, right here, kind of not in the middle of town, such as town is, but at the old harbor, we call it. And this is what it costs to get here. $8.40 from Point Jude to Block Island. And many people come just for the day or stay over. Oh, if you're a senior citizen, it costs less, about 50 cents or some. Yeah, exactly 50 cents. Well, that makes it worthwhile, doesn't it? And for the shopaholics, as there inevitably are on any cruise ship that comes in, there you see the major department store, Star Department Store. And then there's the seaside market where you can pick up ice or cold cuts or, gosh, they feed you so much on these cruise ships. I don't know where anybody'd have an ounce of room left. But in case you want to carry something home that reminds you of Block Island, there's the place to get it. And this way you can get kind of a closer up view of the various little hotels that are the attraction for people to come and stay. Of course, there are a lot of cottages on the island, too, that people can rent by the week or even by the month if they have a high tolerance for quiet, because except on Saturday night, it is a quiet island. When people talk about lost leaders, this must be high on their list. Lunch specials. $3.99 for a hamburger. I can't imagine coming to Block Island for a hamburger. But one of the favorite things is a lobster roll. Most places they're $8.95, $10.95, etc. Here they're $3.99. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of lobster in that. And right here at the end of the dock, sort of, is Finn's Fish Market with live lobsters that I'm sure they'll pack up for you if you want to take them back to the mainland or even to eat on the ship. And inside the fish market, of course, they have the ubiquitous tuna, some smoked fishes of various kind, and the famous Block Island swordfish. It's known all over the East Coast, I don't know where else, but Block Island sword is the freshest and the best. Unfortunately, we're not having any on this trip, or at least we personally are not. So take a look at it, and when you see it at home, know that Block Island swordfish is the Nurp Plus Ultra, the finest. And to give you an idea of how much the prices are for lobsters out here on the island, culls, that means when they've lost a claw or some part, $6.50, $7.95 a pound for chickens, pound and a quarter, $7.95, same price, and a pound and a half, $7.95. Gosh, they usually go up a lot. Swordfish is $11.95 right here where they catch it. That's a lot. And on a Sunday morning, here comes the ferry, loaded to the gills with day trippers, I guess. Boy, it is loaded. It's not going to be easy to walk around here very long. At least comfortably in the town, people are going to be, what is there to buy? What is there to shop for? I never saw so many shopaholics in all my life. And if you decide you want to eat some seafood while you're here, there's the seafood market has a takeout menu, and then they have little tables right outside where you can sit and enjoy them. They have fried whole clams, $12.95. They're not cheap even out here. Bluefish pate. I mean, they have some things that we don't generally see, but a real, if you're determined to have lobster, the boiled twin lobsters are $24.95. not a lot cheaper than on the mainland, and boiled twin cull lobsters, meaning that they're minus one of the claws anyway, $17.95, which is probably the best deal because when you get the claw missing, the tail is usually bigger. So I'm not going to give you a dissertation on how to buy seafood on the island, but questions, please see the menu. Well, let's start our visit to Newport, Rhode Island, the fabled Newport, where all the, well, it depends on where you come from, whether you call them cottages or mansions. We'll go take a look at them. But here, at the beginning of the street where these cottages/mansions are, is this lovely shopping center with these gorgeous flowers. See, they don't let anything go past here in Newport. Everything should be and is quite lovely. Well, we walked across the street to a little place called Annie's, which is a favorite of the locals, particularly for breakfast. You'll see it's really quite a crush in there. And they have the most wonderful Portuguese bread that comes with almost everything, all the eggs and so forth. The only thing I'd caution you against is the corned beef hash that they're so proud of. They take one little piece of corned beef and run it through, I don't know, 5 pounds of potatoes maybe per person. In any event, it's a charming little place inside. And if you want to feel like a local, like a native of Newport, this is worth a stop for breakfast. Well, we're standing outside one of these little cottages, and you can see they had a rather formidable gate here, very gorgeously crafted. And as our guide said, this is sort of a nice area. I would say that was pretty understated, would you? This is the Breakers, the famous Breakers, the home of Cornelius Vanderbilt. We all know who the Vanderbilts are. They were the original big bucks people who came here and referred to these little, that's in quotes, little places as cottages by the sea. Here is an outstanding example of a cottage. And this is a closer up view of the 70 room summer cottage in which lived, I think he was a Commodore, Cornelius Vanderbilt. Doesn't matter what his title was. Obviously, Mr. Big Bucks. And this little tiny place, and it really is in the grand scheme of things, a lot smaller, the chateau on the sea, it's kind of cute compared to the other one. It's little. This is truly a cottage with the most beautiful, lines, and rather modest, but we like it. We'll take it. What you're looking at here has 2 names, and nobody's quite sure what it is. The Mystery Tower or the Old Stone, well, it's obviously an old stone tower, but what it was actually, some people say that it was a Viking, the remains of a Viking church from 900 years ago. Well, I'm not going to go too much more into the history of it, but that's as good a story as any. So let's go with that. The old Viking, the remains of a Viking church from 900 years ago. Of course, nobody knows for sure that the Vikings were here in Newport, but we'll give it a little romance and enjoy that aspect of it. You think we're in California or someplace on the northern side of the left coast? No, we're not. We're in Newport, Rhode Island, where this configuration of rocks and the ocean, and this is the Atlantic Ocean, make no mistake about it, this configuration of rocks looks like the left coast, the west coast. It's really quite unusual for here to see this layered rock. I don't know whether it's called shale or granite or whatever it is. No, it's not granite. But whatever it is, it looks very much like the other side of the US of A. And it's simply beautiful. We're on the Ocean Drive, it's called. And there's more of these little cottages along the way, although not as many as on Bellevue, which means beautiful sight, beautiful view. Here you have to settle for the beauties of the ocean. We'll settle. Now, you've been to all the islands. You've had everything but a taste of them. You haven't had any lobster rolls, as they call them up there. Haven't had any clam buns or something that you eat with clam chowder, as they call it up there. But you've had a sense of what it's like. It's quiet, it's charming, and it's worth a trip. If not as a cruise, then go to one of the islands and stay. You'll enjoy it.